Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Community Days. My name is Kiss Allen Glover, and I will be your host. Community Days is based on the love of community. We go in throughout our communities in the city, and we find interesting stories, interesting people that have very interesting lives, and they share out, talk about their highs, their lows, and where they find their strength in their community. Today's guest is one of the Near North Side's greatest stories. Had the opportunity literally to grow up with this guy in and throughout the years. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to Community Days, Mr. Zany Glover.
What's up? What's good, everybody? See y'all.
What's happening, man? I see you, KMOJ 89.9. What's happening?
And speaking of community, it's the community station here in Minneapolis. It's been around for almost 50 years. And, you know, I was blessed at the beginning of the year to be named program director for KMOJ and our sister companion station, which is an HD2 station called The Ice. So KMOJ is today's R&B and hip hop. The Ice is straight up hip hop.
Man, it's so funny, man. I'll talk a little bit. You've come an extremely long way. 30 years in the radio industry, Near North Side. I read something. You used to hop trains to get to and from the radio station. They called you the public transportation or something like that.
Well, you know, back in the day, you know, it was a pipe dream, you know, being on the radio. And I had a dream, I had a day job at Decorators Walk. I know everybody knows the Merchandise Mart in Chicago. And hey, to get to work sometimes, man, you know, you have.
Nah, but it's cool, you know.
One young lady, I never forget the morning though that I was running late and I hopped it as the train was coming. And this lady, she stood in the lobby of the jail station and she kept screaming, "Pay your fare! Pay your fare! Pay your..." And I mean, she shamed me so bad that I never hopped the train again. So no. I just budgeted for the tokens, right?
That's what's up. The token days. I think about currently they call it New City, the community that you grew up in, formerly the Near North Side of Chicago.
Yeah.
Hell, Cabrini Green.
Yeah.
Area. I can imagine you touched every part of that community. What was it like growing up in that community? And really quickly, during the early 70s, what was that community like?
It was, you know, it was like a community. It was like a family. Everybody knew everybody, pretty much. And you remember this, we could walk the streets in our neighborhood, you know, feeling safe, having fun, hitting up the playground, the basketball, Olivet. You know, we were able to do what kids do. It's when we veered outside of our community that we were running to certain, you know, it's Chicago, you know, in the 70s, early 80s. So it wasn't the most peaceful place to live. So, but as long as we were in our community, we had a good reputation, a good family name, and we were safe, man. We were solid. I mean, you saw everything, so you were forced to grow up pretty fast.
I find it interesting, man. We in its current state, I mean, we jumped fence, we climbed on roofs, we jumped roofs, we did flips on the mattresses, we played baseball on glass, and we survived. Where did that thought process? What do you think that thought process kind of came from?
You know, I think it's the root of success for a lot of people who came out of that area. It's like you just did what you had to do. And when you're growing up in Chicago, you don't think about it as, oh, I gotta survive. It's just a way of life, right? Because of your surroundings, because of the communities and neighborhoods you grow up in. There's some places you know you're not supposed to be. You don't go there. There's some places you know where you're totally safe, and then there's the in-between. And you don't know. It's uncharted territory at growing up as a kid, but you learn to survive, you learn to navigate, you learn lessons, you learn how to, for instance, I always teach my sons, understand what's going on around you at all times, keep your head on the swivel.
Keep your head on a swivel.
If somebody asks for the time, don't look down at your watch. You know, certain little things and techniques you learn growing up that just prepare you for any other environment that you're going to encounter for the rest of your life. And I just feel like growing up in Chicago prepared me, made everything else simple, you know what I mean, to navigate in the rest of the world.
That's wow. That's what you say, the little nuances of going to the store and putting your change away at the counter, things like that. So you're growing up, pretty popular guy in the community. When did the communication, when did you find out that you were communicating? When did you begin to understand that you had a gift around communicating and galvanizing people?
It started young, and my mom used to. I just never forget. My mom used to always say, "Your voice carries. You know you can't whisper, right?" She would just say things like that, and so it just, you didn't really think about it, but then I just became at around 10 or 11. I just became fascinated with music, and then from that, fascinated with being a DJ. Like I would listen to the radio DJs on the top 40 stations. Was it B96 in Chicago and some of the other stations. And I was that kid that was at night with, before earbuds, you had that one little white earpiece.
Yeah.
I was that kid that was under the cover at night, just listening to the late night DJs. I just thought it was fascinating that one person was in a small room creating all that excitement for the entire city. And so it just, from there, man, I just never looked anywhere else. You know how they say you have on blinders. I just never looked anywhere else, and I just pursued that, headed into high school and then eventually into college.
And then you kept working, right? And we watched this journey, and you've gone. What are some of the places this job, not necessarily this job, but this career,
Yeah.
right? Because one of the things I've always marveled at is, as others have worked jobs to kind of pay the bills, you've always had an opportunity to work a career and
Yeah.
own your career. Can you explain to our audience first, before I go any further, what do you see the difference there being?
It's just, that old cliche is, if you find something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. That's it. Some people work a job and then they realize at some point that they really love what they do. And then it kind of evolves. Me, I had one singular plan. I was gonna be an on-air radio DJ at the time. Now they call us on-air personalities. And from there, my career just blossomed and evolved into radio programming. But I think the difference is, I gotta pay the bills. I gotta get up and do this. This is the best way. I know I can do this. So let me just go do it every day. That's a job. When you wake up in the morning and you say, today is the day that we're going to touch somebody. We're going to connect with somebody where they live, what they're doing in that moment by what I do or say on the radio. For me, that's the difference between a job and a career. You got to do, this is like, today is the day. My goal is to connect with people. That has been my driving force for a long, long time. And I've just studied different ways in communication, in production, to what are the best ways to connect with people. Yeah.
That's it. And so you from Cabrini, row houses, Boy Scout, Troop 41. You begin to understand that you have a passion. Mom said, hey, you got a loud mouth. You begin to travel. Take us on this journey, just really briefly, of some of the places you've had an opportunity to embed yourself in different communities across the country.
It's pretty fascinating when I think about where we started. I got an opportunity to work in Muskegon, Michigan.
Muskegon, Michigan.
And it was amazing for me because, it was my first full-time radio gig. I had never really been an intern for anybody. I just kind of moved from a training school in Chicago. WCYC was a training station in Chicago, right into this opportunity in Muskegon. From Muskegon, it was a big jump to Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Afternoon drive. And I was known as Jammin' Jeff.
I remember that.
Yep. From Memphis, I went to Birmingham, Alabama. and I was known as Jeff Powers and the Power Company. It was a morning show. From Birmingham, Alabama, I went to Dayton, Ohio, which was where I went to school, historically Black college, just outside of Dayton, Central State University. So for me, it was like,
That's our Marauders.
yeah, the CSU. Uh, to me, it was like coming home when I got to Dayton, and I was very happy. But some talent scouts spotted me or heard me in Dayton, and they offered me an opportunity in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which was a huge opportunity at one of the biggest radio stations in the country in terms of top 40 radio stations. And I was lucky enough to be there for about 5 years. And then from that point, my journey just continued to Florida and to Texas and to briefly Milwaukee. And, there were some cities that I bounced around in for a little bit. I ended up back in Minneapolis for the longest stint of my career, which is about 7 years at a hip hop station. And that's when I really found my home. I really found my personality. I went from being the Minnesota madman to the loudmouth. And then, after 7 years there, I went back. So now I'm the loudest mouth in the South. And I went back to Texas and Florida. So, but I made my way back into Minneapolis. There's something about this town and the quality of life here. My sons grew up here that just kept calling me back, and opportunities that just kept calling me back. So with a little luck and God willing, I'll be here for a while at this historic radio station, KMOJ.
Man, so super proud of your journey. It's interesting. Those that are listening, right, through this conversation, I just need them to understand that through humble beginnings, when you talk about community and love for community, you talked about a few things. And so that's a segue into one of the portions of the show. It's word association. And so really quickly, I'm just going to ask you a few words.
Okay.
And I need you to kick off 2-3 words that resonate when I say this word.
Okay.
Right? You ready?
I'm ready.
Passion.
Non-stop. Don't turn it on. I'm sorry, say your next word.
Work ethic.
Follow through.
Follow through, important. Drive.
Determination, desire to be the best, desire to have it understood that you're the best, so you don't have to say it.
Work hard enough where you don't have to introduce yourself when you go in the room. Everybody,
let somebody else do it. That goes back to being humble, man. I've never been the type to say, "Oh, you know who I am." You know who I am. Right?
It's not that serious. They know who you are.
Yeah. So,
knowledge.
Study, read, study the greats. No matter where you get to, continue to be a student, and you'll live in a world of discovery.
Wow. Faith.
Just knowing that your faith and the universe is going to answer your call. Just knowing it, and so one of the things you always used to say to me, act as if, right? Just, this is what I want. I know the universe is going to bring it to me. I'm going to act as if it's mine already.
That's what's up. 2 more. Responsibility.
Something that comes from within. I think it's a responsibility is an understanding that this is something that I have to do, something that I have to follow through on to the very end until it's done. You build that from inside. That's nothing that somebody can bark at you. That comes from the inside.
And then finally, hope.
That there's always a better way to do things, a smarter way to do things, that things are always gonna be, that things always have the potential to be what you imagine.
That's what's up. I got just 2 more things, man. What does community, you've talked about quite a few places that you've been, but humbly, Cabrini, new city, the Near North Side, what does community ultimately mean to you?
It's home, right? It's where I know these streets, I know these blocks, I know these people, I know who's gonna come around that corner. I know that they ran out of my favorite chips over at the over at Terry's, right? At the
Yeah,
corner store. Uh I know that I can ride my bike down this street, and this street, but maybe I shouldn't go,
not this
maybe
street.
I shouldn't go through that, maybe I shouldn't go through that courtyard. It's that feeling that surrounds you when you're in a familiar place, surrounded by people who love you, care about you, and even those who may feel indifferent about you, but you're familiar with them, right? So I think that's what community means to me. Uh, if you push it a little bit further, it can mean all of those people in that scenario helping one another for the safekeeping of that area, of that community. All right, this is our radius, of these are our blocks, and we're going to protect it from outsiders, from anybody who will come and do harm or change our way of life. So community is two things: that familiar feeling you get, and then at the same time, it's, if you take it a step further, it's everybody within that area protecting and working for everybody else.
That's beautiful. That's me. That's the somebody making some toast in the house. That's the world we live in. So man, I want to thank you so much for being our inaugural guest on Community Days. To our audience, this has been an absolute pleasure. This is actually my older brother, and we are so proud of the examples that he has set forward. We are so proud of the man that he is. We have an excellent example, my brothers and I, and sister and I have an excellent example to continue to work hard and do our thing. And so as we go through this series of meeting with community members and leaders and from communities all over the city, know, man, that you've represented the Near North Side in a major way. We always look forward to you coming back, going over in that area, getting the love that you get. And so any parting words, any parting words?
Just, I really truly believe that, whatever you decide to do, you can mold your world. You can mold your world and make it to what you want. You just have to picture it in your mind. Some people say create a storyboard. Some people say write it down. I just like to pass this information on because people get frustrated in their lives. They feel like they're at a stopping point. I can't get to that next level. I would say to you, envision what you want your world to be, believe it, act as if, and the universe will bring it right to you. And then just keep pushing. It goes back to a lot of things we talked about: determination, have that faithfulness within your spirit, that things are going to happen special. It doesn't matter where you come from. I just don't believe that. It doesn't matter where you come from, what your education level is. If you have the spirit, determination to learn, to study, you can do and get to wherever you want to get to. I've been blessed. I've been on a local scale on the radio. I've been on a national level. All of these are things that I dreamed about as a kid, right?
Over in Cabrini.
Yeah, over in Cabrini. I dreamed about it as a kid while other kids was dreaming about other things. This is what I wanted for my life. And it's right here. And it's been this way for almost 30 years now, right?
Yeah.
So, I just would like to pass that along. It is doable. Anything you can imagine, it is doable. If a little skinny dude from Cedric Street can pull it off, you can do it. Y'all check me out, man, at KMOJFM.com. I'm on IG at ZannieK, ZANNIEK. On Facebook, same spelling. Holla at me. I appreciate y'all having me on Community Day.
Man, please. And always imparting, right? And always imparting. Talk to me.
As always imparting. It's been like my saying every time I close my radio show. As always imparting, I'll remind you, fly low, avoid the radar, right? And no matter what happens, when they come for the car, save the radio.
My man, thank you so much, man. It has been absolute love. We appreciate you. Guys, this has been School Days. Holla.